I started having a panic attack, and I was freaking out, and I was like, come get me, bro. And it was just this calm voice, and he was just like, RJ, it's okay, just breathe. And I did. And then I just focused on my intentions of what I was there for. But literally, eyes were closed, and I just saw all these things leaving. And I could feel my face and my emotions, like crying, mad, sad, like I could feel it all. And then the best part was once I released all those things, it was like I had an off switch to the world. It was like the most calm, peaceful moment in my life. No lie, Joe. Like I could not hear anything. Nothing at all. I was just being.
Yeah.
And it was just so peaceful. And literally, like, when I opened my eyes, I was like, I want to say born again, but it was like I had this new life.
Ready to roll?
Let's go.
Dude, I'm like nervous.
I am too.
What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit Podcast. What we do on this podcast is bring in guests from all different backgrounds and all different walks of life to share their journey and everything along the way that led them to where they're at today. We're here to make an impact, and that is what we do. So if that is for you, like, subscribe, all those amazing things. And if that is not for you, I don't know what your problem is, but it's time to jump on board today. Thank you. But without further ado, I would love to introduce my friend, my longtime friend today, and our guest, Mr. RJ Savage.
What's up? What's up?
RJ, what is up, dude?
Man, a lot.
It's so good to have you.
Dude, it's good to be back. We've been trying to make this happen for a minute.
Yeah. Well, now I'm closer.
Exactly.
So that works out.
Yeah, no excuse.
You know, guys, a little bit of a re-intro. I checked it out, dude. RJ was on here. This is going to be episode 150.
Wow.
You were on here episode 16. So over 2.5 years ago.
Dang, has it been that long?
Yeah. I did the math. I looked at it. It was October 19th, 2022. Your last episode dropped.
Dang.
Yeah. So over 2.5 years since our last recording.
Had
and
plenty of time to make ready for this one.
Holy shit. That's a lot. It's a lot of time, man. It's like, oh, man, I've been recording podcasts for a while.
Yeah.
But anyways, RJ, it's really good to have you, man. A lot's changed since then for both of us. Obviously, we've been catching up for the past 40 minutes. More so on my end, because I want to, see what's going on in your life. We've chatted a few times here and there, on the phone and in passing and stuff like that. So I think this is a really good reunion to revisit everything,
For sure.
So real quick, I can just give you the bullet points. You tell them what it is that you do in your life today real quick, and then we'll bridge into the next part.
Oh, man. Well, being a husband and a father, and then running my personal training business and doing some coaching and really just working on myself. That's what's been like most important lately.
Yeah.
Just working on myself.
Before we dive into the changes, I would say, real quick, what would episode 16 RJ think of RJ today?
That's a good question. He would think that he's been through a lot since then.
Yeah.
And that he is growing into the man that he's always wanted to be.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, could be the quite opposite of that. So, that's
sure.
That's a good thing,
For
man.
sure. Yeah.
I love that. And obviously we're going to dive into the different dynamics of that. I guess briefly say what has changed since then, just overlying stuff. Cause I got some things we're going to get into, but what has happened since then has been super significant.
Definitely. I mean, obviously my youngest daughter, Rain, That's been a big change in our life. Just a huge blessing. Awesome, right? Mostly that, really. I mean, other than that, not a whole lot's changed, really. I mean,
Yeah.
just it hasn't and hasn't. You know what I mean? Just you bring a baby into the world. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of things do change, but like every day, like it's still the same. It's I get up and go to work and come home and take care of the little one so the wife can do her thing, and that's just kind of the repeat thing that we've been doing.
Yeah.
So
Getting your routine.
for sure, and without the routine, it just don't work.
I heard somewhere recently that if you want to be successful, you're going to be boring.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, because like my 20s were just like all over the place. I wouldn't say I'm a boring person, but your day to day almost becomes like boring, quote unquote, because like the structure, you rely on that. Yeah, man. But it's not a bad thing.
No, that's how I live. I have to have structure.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the kind of guy I am.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
We both know how it is without structure.
Oh, God, chaos. Yeah, wouldn't be good.
Exactly, man. Yeah, it's a powerful, it does change a lot of stuff. I mean, hell, when I recorded with you the first time, I hadn't had a baby yet, Lydia was pregnant. So so that's been both a huge change, big change for both of us since that episode. So I want to dive into that a little bit. Let's start with the fatherhood and family thing. I guess, what would you say? You already have a daughter that's now in college, right?
Yep, she's 20.
Damn, crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I assume she's doing well.
Awesome, man.
That's
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
That's good, man. I know you're proud of her. You've always spoke very highly of her. Now, becoming a father, becoming a girl dad for the second time at this stage of your life, what has that been like?
Man, it's been the most awesome thing ever, man, because I didn't get to be the dad that I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
And for many reasons, right? I mean, I've said this, on the last time we talked about, kids and my firstborn, but, I was young, I was 20 years old. I had literally just, gotten not out of that trouble, but like didn't go to prison. Right. And, so like, it was a lot, and I didn't have the patience that I have now. And, I got her every other weekend, stuff like that. So, I just didn't know how to be a dad and didn't know what that looked like. Right.
Yeah.
So I always, wish that I would have done a lot more, but, I've made peace with, back then and where I'm at now. But this round, man, is just, it's been a huge blessing, and just, learning how to, to be that dad that I wanted to be. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's such an awesome baby, or toddler now. She's not a baby anymore.
How old is she now?
20 months.
20 months.
Yeah.
She's a little younger than mine.
Yeah. She'll be 2 in October.
That's crazy.
But dude, it's just, like, I look forward to seeing her every day. Like, Father's Day, right? I thought that was going to be a rough day for me for other reasons. And I just was getting back in town. And I've always just pictured this, like, not necessarily for Father's Day, of just walking into my home and like my wife and daughter, like, kind of running into my arms. Right.
Yeah.
And Whitney did that basically. Like, I just opened the front door, and there they both are, kneeled down, with the little, gift for me, for Dad. And then Rain just comes running into me and jump. And so it was just like that, those little things like that, man, just like, and none of it's easy. Like, being a dad, it's hard, and especially with babies, like, for us men, at least I don't say for us men, but, for me, like, it was very tough, being a father to a newborn baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's not easy.
No. And I mean, thankful for my wife, Whitney. I mean, she's a beast of a mom, and she, for other reasons, she's been awesome, man. And, we're really tag teaming this way that we want to raise her.
Yeah.
And making sure that, like, we don't necessarily do the things that our parents did. And, not to say that they're bad or whatnot, but just more aware. We have more information these days, right? And just, see, how things go. And it's like, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be that dad. I don't want to be that mother, right? So, like, we're really, really intentional about how we talk to her, when she's mad, sad, all of it, because It's very important.
Dude, I'm not going to talk on that too much, but you're so right. My parents, I had great parents, but they just past generations did things differently. And I always said, well, my kids act up one day, I'm going to whoop them, and like, that's what they did to me. And like, and like, I got a great relationship with them. And I think I turned out all right. But at the same time, like, I still want to do things my way, one.
Yeah.
But, there's been times like Ozzy acts up, you kind of pop her on the leg or something like that. But I've gotten to where like, I won't even do that now. Because the most important thing to me is for my daughter to trust me.
Yes.
Because if she trusts me, she's going to share everything with me, but we're going to have a relationship to where based off of that trust, she's going to respect me, not out of being scared that I'm going to smack her on the leg. Right.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of other pieces to that, but I also want her to be comfortable in her emotions as she grows older.
Yeah.
So like what I've started doing is, and Lydia and I we're united on the front, and you said that. And I was like, yeah, dude, when you got a partner that like y'all come together on how to do it, instead of parenting two different ways, that could be an issue. And so now, like, she's a toddler. So sometimes she'll just throw a freaking fit. And she did this thing where she's like screams. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so loud. And she's just like, she's strong-willed as shit. She wants things her way. But I appreciate that. So like, I just kind of sit with her. I'm like, hey, I'm stern, but I'm also very like loving and kind. I'm like, listen, it's okay that you're mad.
Yeah.
But it's not okay how you reacted. So I control the space without controlling her.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think, of course you get people like, oh no, that's some hippie dippy shit. No, because now like, dude, just yesterday she did something. I did that. And she was like, okay. And I was like, yes, sir. This is the first time I've heard this. She said, yes, sir. In like baby tongue.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I don't know how she said it, but it was like adorable. But I looked at Lydia. I was like, you hear that?
Yeah.
I demand to hear that everywhere in this household now. No,
yeah.
But that's the thing, dude. It's just like you made me think of that because I'm always listening to people and reflecting on that stuff. But yeah, dude, just doing things a different way, man.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It is.
Hell yeah.
And especially when you see it working.
Yeah.
Because like you said, just real quick, like it's easy to, when she's throwing a fit or something, just to knock it off, instead of asking the question of, well, why are you acting like that, honey? Like, why do you tell daddy what's going on? Like, what's wrong? Would you need something? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And people think like, well, you can't ask a toddler. Yes, you can.
You can.
Like, you can. And they will figure out how to tell you something, right?
100%.
And so that's what's been, that's what we've really been doing lately. Cause like, yeah, she's in that growing phase right now. So like, she'll scream, yell. Sometimes she's, starting to do a little bit of hitting and stuff. And it's like, hey,
hey, mine caught me with a jab right now.
I was like, yeah. But like, we've been doing different things and getting results and seeing that works, and that what our parents did, just to be real, like, doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like that way, like, yelling at the kid is not going to get the response that you want to get. Telling them to quit crying is not going to.
What does yelling teach? The loudest person wins. But is that the case in real life?
Serves no purpose.
No, exactly.
None.
Trust me, I've tried to like have the last word in a lot of recent things, and it only just pisses me off more. That's what you're getting at with that. So you got to think like, okay, what are these actions actually teaching them? Yep. And so I don't know. I appreciate that about you, man, because you got to kind of break from the mold, man. If you want to make change, you got to break some of those conditions.
Yeah.
Again, not to knock the parents, but things are evolving. You got to shift, and the world's got so much more going on, so you got to kind of evolve with that too.
That's it. And that's what's made us be aware of it. And honestly, it was really like just other parenting and parents like on social media, posting things like, because obviously when you have a baby, like, I start seeing baby stuff and following baby stuff, so like taking some of that and kind of putting our own twist with it to see what works and what doesn't work. And like I said, me and Whitney are big on, making sure that we're aligned on how we, raise her like that, because it's like one can't be getting on to her for one thing and the other one be like, oh, it's okay, honey, tell me what's going on. Like,
yeah, no, that would make no sense. It's just gonna be like, who do I even talk to now? Exactly, man. Well, and how's marriage been? Y'all been married for how long now?
3 years.
Oh, so y'all were like freshly married around that time then?
3.5. Yeah, only been a year.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And obviously you are aligned on the parent thing, and y'all weren't expecting that at first. But
no, not at all, man. That was a big curveball.
Yeah.
But we call her our miracle baby, man. And, God put her in our life for a reason.
Hell
And,
yeah.
we're very thankful.
That's beautiful, man. I'm glad to hear that, bro. So you shared something with me the past several conversations. Is there anything you want to touch on regarding fatherhood? And obviously we can circle back around because I think some of these concepts will align as well.
Yeah, we can circle back. Yeah.
So you brought something up to me on the phone recently, and it was a word, and the word was surrender. And I thought it was very interesting because it's very relevant to my life. Not necessarily surrender, but like just, pretty much the same thing, right? Just let go of control, embrace the unknown, Joe. That's what came to me. Very similar. So why? What brought that word about to you?
So I think it was around November. I don't normally do the, New Year's resolutions, any of the stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just never been for me. But for some reason, I decided I'm going to give myself a word for the year. And surrender was just what came to my head, right? And for me and my beliefs and believing in God, that was the reason why, right? Because I was always just trying to do things RJ's way. Always, RJ can make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Knowing mostly everything I've been through wasn't because of me. It was because of God. And so I was like, well, RJ, why do you want to surrender? Why, asking myself the question, like, what does that look like? What's that going to be for next year? What are you going to do different? And I came up with these 3 things. I wanted to be the most authentic, unapologetic, godly man that I am. I feel like I was always a people pleaser. I never would really speak up on my true feelings on things right? Yeah. And so it was like, I got to be done with that. And not in any disrespectful way. I just, unapologetically, I'm going to be me.
Yeah.
If you like me, cool. If you don't, that's cool. Like, it's not a tough guy thing either. It's just like, we're all different. Like, to each his own.
Yeah.
But this is the way I'm going. And if you like what I'm doing, cool. If not, that's cool too. And so, so it was like, all right, well, how are you going to do that? What's that look like? And I hadn't really kind of dove into any of that yet, but I knew that like I wanted to start helping other men.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I always struggle with, I got to be 100% right before I can start helping other people. And then it was like, no, I actually don't, because we're all going to be in a mess all the time. I always have something going on. So it's like, that'll be an excuse to not start doing something.
Yeah.
And the big picture is I wanted to host men's retreats to help men and in many ways. And so yeah, man. So nothing was happening. The first of the year come around, and me and my wife, as we're fortunate enough that we get to coach on a private island, and that's the Area BVI.
Yeah.
Check it out. But we're coaches for the Strength Summit. It's a private island where you can go. There's retreats, right? So we teach the Strength Summit and teach people, health is wealth and whatnot, and teach people about, how to take care of themselves and eat good and exercise and those things. So the very first day, that afternoon, we're playing volleyball on the beach, and we done played like 5 games, and I'm just very competitive anything I do. But if it's a sport, like, I'm all in, like, trying to win, like, it's it's serious,
bro.
me.
Yeah, like see me do
there's
it.
no
Uno,
dimming it down.
like.
Exactly, there's no dimming it down. Like, we're enemies right now, bro.
Yeah.
Like, when it's over, you shake hands. Like, I'm trying to beat you.
I feel you.
And so Jeremy, which is Brittany's husband, he's on the other team, and he's the same way. He's a retired special forces, right? And so obviously, and we done played like 5 games, and we decided that we wanted to play one more game. And I just remember going up to jump, man, and just heard a pop, and I landed in like the army crawl position, kind of like face down.
Mm-hmm.
And I just knew, like, I didn't know yet, but like I went to just get up like normal because I didn't feel anything yet. I just heard something in the air.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I went to straighten that leg out, man, I just felt it all and I just let out like a, right scream.
Yeah.
And I just knew. I was like, immediately, I'm, thinking, how am I going to take care of the help at the house with the baby? How am I going to go to work? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And then I quickly had to grab a hold of it and this is taking practice of years of just being through things, right? When something happens, I'm gonna say to me, you know, yeah, I can be mad, I can be upset, cry, whatever that is, but I can't let that continue to go because it's already happened. So it's like those thoughts ran through my head, and then I grabbed it, I was like, all right, RJ, it's already done. It's already happened. Like,
Yeah.
Now we just got to figure out what's next. And it immediately popped in my head, and I was just like, God, why this? Like, why is this how I have to surrender? Because it's out of my control now. There was nothing I can do. Like, I didn't know how bad it was yet, but it was like I'd already felt like defeated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, I'm on this private island, and it's a wonderful healing place, man. Like, so they got me a brace and got me a crutch, and I stayed there the whole week and did my job.
Yeah.
And
Worked around it.
dude. Yeah. And, get back and get the MRI, and, found out that I tore my patella tendon completely off the bone and had to have surgery. And I'm like, right? I'm like, Doc, is there any way we can avoid surgery? And he's like, no. He's like, you want to walk? I was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm just trying to, if I can, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, look out for me. Don't be trying to just get my money.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, I had to have surgery. So that was another, like, boom. I was like, man, God dang it. Here we go, recovery time, right? Like everything. I'm like, how am I going to work? How am I going to do all this and do that? And just real quick, shout out to my wife, man. Like, I couldn't do anything for myself for 2 weeks, dude. Like, this is probably the most debilitating thing that I've ever had happen to me.
Yeah.
That means your leg. Right?
Yeah.
Just,
I get it.
Like, I'm not going to complain over here, buddy.
No, dude, your problems are yours though. Trust me.
Like, she showed up, man, and did everything, man, like everything. And, so.
You feel guilty?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Even though there's nothing you can do, you're like,
no, exactly.
I suck.
Dude, it was, no lie, man, that was the most I'd ever spiraled.
Yeah.
I was in such a bad place. And, I didn't know how or what to do, to fix that other than just lean into God more. And I was like, well, RJ, you asked for it, essentially. Like, I was like, all right, God, so I'm going to surrender. Like, this is what it is. Like, I don't like it. Like, this sucks, but I know that you have a plan, and I'm just going to trust that process. And so, yeah, I just, through that, that's all I could really do was just like lean into him and just get into my word more and just read more, and pray more and just, hope that I would get some sign of like why yet. Right.
I got a question. So I'm going to ask, regarding that, would you say that maybe you chose that word, but maybe were you still resisting it?
Oh, for sure.
That surrender.
100%.
So you needed something to like force you to surrender, right? Yep. You asked for it. And dude, it's so crazy because like how powerful, like when you are intentional about a word you choose.
Yep.
Like I chose the name Relentless Pursuit. Sure as shit has been one. Yeah, I mean, it's in every way it's been a relentless pursuit, like I shared with you before, man. And it's so crazy how powerful your words are, especially when spoken with intention, man. And it's just like, hey, if you're not living up to it, it's gonna slap you in the face hard.
And it did, man. It did. And I was like, dude, I was straight up, man. I was thinking like killing myself. Like, what's my purpose? Why am I even here anymore? Like, what, like.
Did you have like kind of an identity shift maybe, right? Like, because you're a pro bodybuilder. Me, I put same thing. Like I put a lot of myself into my identity, into my physical prowess, right?
Yeah.
No, but you kind of have to shift from bodybuilder, physical guy to like stillness.
Literally, dude. And like, that's where like I felt just lost. And I hadn't really realized yet that like, I thought I was okay. Cause I had decided, probably like 2 years ago, I guess, that I was okay with just hanging it up with the bodybuilding. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like RJ, it served his purpose. Like that had a purpose. Like that saved my life. I didn't go to prison, found the gym, got into bodybuilding. Like that gave me structure. That gave me discipline. That kept me on the straight and narrow path. And it opened so many doors for me, man. And I was like so grateful and so blessed, but I did not really realize like that was everything for me was bodybuilding, and competing. And so then like before rain, even like I still just kind of was like on the, like, maybe I'll compete again, maybe I won't. And then like when I'm sitting in all this and just dead still, not being able to do nothing, like I just totally felt lost. I was like, you know, who am I? Like I had no clue really. And I was like, I have to accept that because I didn't before. Like I guess it was kind of just like the toughness, you know, just kind of like just toughing it out. Like, you know,
I got it. Yeah.
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy stuff. I think, you know, vulnerability is a fucking powerful thing.
Very powerful, especially for men, in my opinion.
Well,
like anybody, but just us men, like that you're weak if you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah,
you keep that, you don't share that.
Yeah, but then you look at people that like haven't done so and they just got like, they're like a ball of anxiety and just like they shut down. There's no emotional connection. It's like you could only have, the conversation can only go so far with them.
Exactly. Yep.
And
because
like
they're scared too.
Yeah. And it's like,
what?
But I don't have surface level conversations.
No, we're going to dive. We're going to get deep.
Yeah. And if you're not willing to, then we're probably just going to stop talking, and that's cool.
Yeah.
We can be cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's where it ends.
Want
right
that
there.
deep connection.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to invest too much more time in it. And it's
Exactly.
like, but anyways, I was thinking about the word surrender, right?
Yep.
I guess you chose that word, and I just real quick, because our experience is so similar, because like around November and shit is when I started to have some crazy realizations, man. And I do, I'm on a rune journey. So I got like a rune on my whiteboard, and the runes are, they're wisdom, man. They all have meaning, and, but the meaning is so much more broad than that initial meaning, right? It gets pretty, you got to be very intentional with it. And it's language of our ancestors, man. And it's just knowledge passed down from the gods for us to use as guidance, not as the answer, because a lot of people get things like astrology and stuff screwed up to be like how life's supposed to be. No, these things are there to help you, but that's it.
Yeah.
But it's up to you how to use it.
Right.
What I'm getting at is the rune journey has been powerful, man. I've got it all mapped out. Like I track it every week. I meditate on a new one every Monday. I like do a little ritual, and I'm like, God, let what comes to me come, like, you know, here's my sacrifice. Like,
yeah,
pass this to me. Right. So when I started it, the first rune was Perthrow. I was like, Perthrow. And like, I've always done this, but this was like, I wanted to go on a journey with it. Well, Perthrow's a very interesting rune because it's the unknown. And it was like, embrace the unknown, you know. That was like January 1st, right? Or like very beginning, late December. And I was like, okay, I got to like surrender.
Yeah.
So the next week I go into it. What are the chances I pulled Perthrow again? And it was just like, Joe, embrace the unknown. Let go of control. And I was like, holy shit. And that started the journey for me, like very similar way as you. Like I've had to embrace, like it's the gods, whatever the universe is telling me, embrace that shit. Embrace the unknown. Let go of control. Because and so many of us want to try to control things. Yeah. But why do I have to control things? And I talked to you about like when I went through as a child. Well, because I didn't have control of that moment when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yep.
Now I can control it, right?
Yep.
No, you still don't have control. But like those things through your life, and it forced this whole journey of me, right? And what I'm getting at, because this is your story, is the embracing the unknown, man, the surrender, dude.
Yeah.
And like at first, it meant something to me, but it's evolved since then tremendously. So what I'm getting at is like, how has the meaning of surrender evolved since you chose it?
That's a great question. You ready for this?
Yes.
So yeah, man, back, you know, I guess it was actually right around my birthday time. My 40th birthday was Valentine's Day. And, dude, like, again, just been spiraling, right? And just struggling really bad, you know, with depression and anxiety and fear and just all those things.
Yeah.
And one day I went into the gym and I met someone for the first time. I'm not going to say his name on here, but he's a retired SEAL. And we talked one time before I went to the island in January. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to me about some plant medicine, right? Yeah. And I didn't know anything about that. And it really got my attention when he explained to me, like, what it is and how it's used and why it's used that way and what it's for. And so I kind of just, took it for what it was, but didn't really think much of it. So anyways, fast forward, right? I hadn't seen him for, months, and I'm slowly getting back into training clients and back in the gym. And this was probably about 8 to 10 weeks ago, maybe, I guess. Walked in the gym, probably me to you far apart, seen him, and literally he just looks, and he's like, Savage, he's like, you good? And I was just like, shook my head no. And he come over and he said a couple words to me, and it was like he knew. And I was like, I need you, dude. I was like, I need to do this. I need to do something. And he was like, meet me here tomorrow at this time. So that was it. Like, that's what he said. We went our ways. I went back to work. And then I had to make that choice, to be intentional. Am I going to go and show up? I had to drive an hour and a half away to where he wanted me to meet him at. And he just sent me this location. And it was a Waterfall out in Manchester.
Let's not tell people the name because I don't want everybody going there.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, it was Machine Falls.
Yes, dude.
Yeah. And so
you told me that. I got so pumped up. I love that spot.
Now, this is all surrendering, right? I'm going into the unknown. I have no idea what I'm getting into. No idea. And I meet him there the next morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. And first one of my questions was I was like, hey, how does God look at this? I was like, I don't want to be, doing drugs, and this and the. And he's like, fair question, totally, and he explained it. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm cool with that, right? And so we set the intention on what I was there for, to use this for. And it was to heal, right? And from basically, like, this certain medicine was used to help with, traumas and addiction and whatnot. And so I had a lot of things built up, inside of me, and I say traumas, but like, there was just a lot that I was holding on to. I had no space left for anything. Like, I literally was just like tapped out. All right. There was no room for any new creativity. Like, I just kept spiraling the same things over and over and over and over again. Right. And so a lot of stuff, just from childhood up until now, and a lot of, just kind of bitterness and, shame and, all those things. Right. And so we set the intention of what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. And then we prayed about it. And then he handed me a microdose of LSD, a microdose of psilocybin, and a microdose of Iboga.
Sounds like really cool.
And I was like, whoa. I was like, dude, I'm not going to, like, I was like, I don't want, that's going to be, I'll be true. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, I promise. He was like, these dosages are so small. He was like, I promise you're not going to be out of body or anything like that at all. And I was like, okay, I trust you. And so we took it, and then we hit the trails, and we're just walking and talking, and he's, he knows what he's doing. So there's a whole process to it, right? So he's building up and asking the right questions and stuff. And it's, allowing me to open up and kind of get focused on what I'm about to do. Right.
Yeah.
And so all I noticed was stuff was just a little bit brighter, but I did not feel out of body or anything like that at all. And so we're walking, and we get to the top of the waterfall. And no lie, there's this big tree that kind of looks like just a lazy boy. And he was like, I want you to go sit over there, and I just want you to focus on your breathing. Told me how to breathe. And he was like, just stay focused on doing that. And I did till I about fell asleep. And then he came over and got me, and he was like, how did it go? And I was like, I was about to fall asleep. He was like, all right, perfect. You did it great. He's like, now we're going to go to do the fun part. He's like, I'm just going to go ahead and warn you. He was like, this may hurt. You may want to cry, you may want to scream, you want to, get out. And he was like, but just trust me and just stay in there. And I'm like, okay. Well, then in my head, I'm thinking, I'm like, because we're going to the waterfall. And he says those things. I'm thinking he's just, telling me the water's going to be so cold, I'm going to want to get out or this or that,
Yeah.
I'm like, ice baths don't bother me. I'm cool with that. No, that wasn't why he said that. We get down to the waterfall, and he's like, all right. He was like, we're going to climb up onto like the waterfall, like the rocks, right? Just like step up, and like you're just up against the wall. So like you can't move, right? You're just straight. All you could do is barely just turn your head because you're holding on.
Yeah.
And like, mind you, like my knees still like, I'm not the greatest at walking. I take my brace off, right? And And so he helps me step up there. And as soon as I step into because he wants the water to hit you. And so as soon as I step up in there and that water starts hitting the top of my head, I knew what he was talking about. Hurt.
Yeah.
Cry, scream, get out. Dude, when you have water hitting you in the top of the head coming from like 50, 60 feet above, it hurts.
Especially when you're like, everything's heightened.
Exactly. Right. So it's immediately what happened. I started having a panic attack and I was freaking out and I was like, come get me, bro. I was like,
throw me a life jacket.
Yeah. I was like, I can't see. And it was just this calm voice. And he was just like, RJ, it's okay. Just breathe. Just focus on your breathing. And so I just, really leaned in on that, focus on my breathing part. And I was able to calm myself down. And then no lie, like the water felt warm and this water was freezing. Right. And so it was just like, that's where this started to happen. Right.
You got into that flow.
Yes, exactly. Flow state.
Yep.
And so then he came and helped me get down and I stepped off and I went to take one step and he was like, stop right there, close your eyes. And I did. And then I just focused on my intentions of what I was there for. And I know that everybody is going to sound woo-woo, but literally eyes were closed and I just saw all these things leaving.
Yeah.
All the just everything that I can envision on these, events that happen and whatever, just leaving. And I could feel my face and my emotions, like crying, mad, sad, like I could feel it all. My facial expressions were making like, I couldn't see it. He has a video too of me, which was awesome. But, and then the best part was once I released all those things, it was like I had an off switch to the world. It was like the most calm, peaceful moment in my life.
Yeah.
I'm 5 feet away from this loud waterfall. No lie, Joe. Like I could not hear anything. Nothing at all. It was just, I was just being.
Yeah.
And it was just so peaceful. And it's like I went from feeling all those emotions of the sad and mad and anger and bitterness and stuff in my face to just smiling and just could feel the tears of joy of just peace coming down, man. And literally, like, when I opened my eyes, I was like, I want to say born again, but it was like I had this new life.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I was so happy and felt like free from, just felt like, I was trapped in all these things.
Yep.
And, and then he told me, like, I videoed you because I, want you to have this for yourself and whatnot. And I was like, thank you for that. And then I went over to, he's like, now we're going to finish over here. And the way the waterfall down there at the bottom of the waterfall was, there was another little like mini waterfall that you could like sit up against.
Yeah, and there's also like a flat rock in front of it. You know what I'm talking about? That's kind of shallow.
Yes. Dude. I'll post it. I'll post a picture of the video of this, but he was like, put this hat on. He was like, and then when he showed me, he's like, I want you to sit down against it, sit up against it, and then lean your head back. And when I did, what that did was it made the water hit the bill and just, it was like I was in my own little bubble under the water. And it was like, just, I can't even explain how I was feeling when I was right there, but it was like, cause I was just, at that time I was just like very emotional and like thankful and whatnot. And it was just the coolest experience I've ever had in my life, man. And like, no, it didn't fix everything, but it put me on track to do that, to be more aware, right, of what I let in and what I let out. And so for like the next 2 weeks, he's like, this is going to be very important for you to journal and write things down. He's like, you're going to be able to be really more creative now. And there's a lot, like, I don't know the wording to explain exactly what he broke down for me on the brain and how this works and what it does for me and for, through the brain, because that's what it's all about. You're rewiring. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did, was we rewired my brain to think differently.
Yeah.
And so over those next 2 weeks, man, like, again, like this all for me was, through God. Like that's like like everything,
100%.
right?
But that's nature is God.
Exactly.
So
like
you're doing this in
water.
to what I believe, like somewhere like that is holy.
Yes, exactly. Like,
Like,
literally, like that's and so, dude, it was just like the things that I was seeing and reading, and everything was just clarification of me doing what I did for a purpose, and that was right. And that's why I needed to surrender, was so that I could go and be that authentic, unapologetic, godly man that I am, to start sharing these things to be able to help people. And it, like I said, it wasn't like a one-time fix it all type deal. There's different journeys that you can do afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like I do some microdosing.
Yeah.
And it is very helpful, man. Like, and I didn't actually speak on this, but I was addicted to opioids. I my back's jacked up, and been jacked up, and I'd been, there's a time I was on, on painkiller, on Percocets, and even oxys, dude, like it was bad, and like I didn't even I felt like justified in it because of my injuries. You know what I'm saying? It was like, well, I need this. They prescribed it. It's okay,
of course, that's what most people think.
Exactly. Yeah. But I had to grab a hold of it because I knew that he wasn't going to bust me and open the doors if I didn't.
Yeah.
And I kept, doing that. And so that was a huge struggle, but that was a huge relief as well, is because, I was, thinking like, well, how am I going to, right? Like I felt like, debilitated essentially. Like, without this, how am I going to do my day-to-day stuff? Right. But I trusted the process of what it was going to do. And it did that. Like, I don't even want, a Percocet or a pain pill or anything like that anymore. Like, literally, like Ibogaine, people do your research, I'm not going to tell you what to do.
He's not condoning it.
No, like it's just, this was for me. Yeah. This was something that I wanted to do. And so teach his own. But, just do your research on it. But, it's been shown. They just passed the bill. This is the first time. So Ibogaine, you can't even get in the country. And they just passed the bill in Texas now to start using it for treatment because it's
kind of surprising, but
yeah. Right. But the biggest thing is they've been testing this on, the military, right? Veterans, because traumas, you're military, you see a lot, go through a lot, whatever. And then obviously the other thing is, opioids, right? Because a lot of guys, from the military that,
get jacked up.
Right. And so those two, and it's been shown to literally just can reverse that in just one time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So there's when after I did ayahuasca, I had a friend talk to me about Ibogaine, but I started researching it, and the research I did was in people that did heavy doses, and I looked up pictures because Ibogaine comes from Africa.
Yep.
And I saw pictures of them in huts doing it, and they looked like possessed. I was like, I don't want to mess with that. It looks terrifying.
Right. And there's different ways and dosages of using it too, because yes, there is, I was just talking to a military guy the other day, who is going to go do Ibogaine in a heavy dose.
Yeah.
And it's for different, for different reasons, different purposes, depending on the individual. Right. So, for me, man, it's, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I didn't know that I wanted to share that on here, but it, it came back to us like authentic, RJ, just share it.
That's what it's about. Yeah.
And, I still, I'm like, even right now that I've even just shared it, I'm just like, wow, dude, you really just told the world that.
I'm glad you did. I really am glad you did.
But, and my intention behind that was very strong. Because I don't know where RJ'd be at right now had I not done that. Let's just say that. And that's how bad of a place I was in. Like, it was bad, dude. And,
hey, man, it's okay.
Yeah. No, good. Man, it was just like my last straw, man. Like, there wasn't anybody else that I could lean into that, was going to fix me. Yeah. Right. And it was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? you know.
You're already in kind of a place of surrender, but you didn't really know how to understand it.
No.
And the opportunity arose, right? You didn't resist it. You surrendered to it. And it says a lot about your friend to be the kind of guy that could get you to trust him.
Dude.
At such a vulnerable place and be like, hey, let's go to this waterfall. Okay, you're going to take this stuff. And you're like, yeah. And it shows that you were also, I don't want to say desperate, but you were in a place, almost in a place desperate. You're like,
I was.
Whatever it takes.
I literally, like, I was. And, like, Joe, I told this man stuff I hadn't told anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
I want you to get us connected, by the way.
for sure.
I think he'd be like, he and I would click very well.
Get him on here.
Yeah. He's
100%. He's tied in with a lot of this, what's going on to bring this over here to where people can heal, man.
Yeah.
And like this, you don't have to be a military person. Like literally, like right now you can go to a place in Cancun, to do this, you know, but they're trying to get it over here to the States, in which Texas is, you know, the first state now, but like it was life-changing for me, man.
Yeah.
Like life-changing.
Well, no, I love that, dude. And you know, it's interesting because I liked where you talked about how you could visualize things leaving you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, you know, they're still part of you, but it's almost like it goes back to that surrender control thing. It was so hard for you to surrender because those things had control of you. Like they program you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but now that you have seen them go the way they did, does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They don't control you. You're just aware of them, and now you can take steps to fix those things.
I've accepted those things and allowed them to release and not keep me chained.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It was like, because I kept feeling like I said, like I didn't feel like I was authentic. You know, it was like all these things that I have, you know, in me and, you know, it's happened to me or whatever. It's like, I didn't feel, I was like, who is RJ? Like, who am I?
Yeah.
You know, like just a bodybuilder. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I'm a whole lot more than that. And, you know, like I said, now that I've done that, it's really allowed me to see things differently.
Yeah.
And not like, I don't even go back to those thoughts anymore. Like I would always be spinning in my head about everything that I've done in my life. Like, you know, I'm 40 years old. I'm not where I want to be at, you know, financially. I'm not where, you know, this, that, like, I don't like all, even the young things that happened, you know, when I was younger and like things that, you know, I did or whatnot. Like I was constantly just replaying those things over in my head. You're not good enough. You know, you did this, you did that, right? And
the more conversations we had, the more I realized how much alike we are. It's kind of crazy, but anyways.
I don't even think about them anymore though. Like they just don't even, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like literally they're gone. I have to try and think about them if I want to. Where before I close my eyes and that's exactly what just start, you know what I'm saying?
It's like if it's brought up to you, it's like we talked about some of the people I've had dealings with. You know, it was brought up. So you could see the emotion behind it. But for a while there, I was really attached to it. Like I'd start driving out here and I'd be like,
yep.
And the whole 50-minute drive, I'm just like,
and
I'm thinking about like what I want to still say to them.
Exactly.
I want to hurt them, man. I do.
Yeah.
But I've done some work too, I'll tell you about after, but that now that's very similar as far as what it does to the mind, but now it's just like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me what I needed to see.
That's it, man.
Thank you for your part in my growth. But that bridge is burned.
Yep.
For sure. And that's okay too.
Unfortunately, that's the way life goes, man.
Yeah. So I think dude, in the similar way, right? Like instead of festering on all these things, you're able to like, you just got clarity, sounds like.
Literally, man. Like, and that's all I want. Like, you can even ask my wife, like, all I've wanted was peace.
Yeah.
I just want to feel peace. Because I've lived in anxiety and you know, depression, and I always used to deny the depression part. Like, you're not depressed. You got this, bro. You ain't depressed. Nah, man, I didn't realize how bad I really was.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what's hard as a man too. Is like, that's why we need more men to be vulnerable, to know that it's okay to share your feelings. It's okay to cry, dude. Like, that doesn't make you weak. If, in my opinion, you're more tough of a man if you can show your emotions.
100%.
Because a real man, like, he doesn't need to put on a front to be tough. If I need to be, I can be. But that stays down here. What you need to see on the surface is a loving, kind, safe man. And, like, that's all I'm working on being right now.
Yeah.
And breaking generational curses of, not wanting to be the same. And, that's something different. But, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, so, yeah, man, like, that's, I'm working on something right now so that there is a place for more men to be able to come and share and speak and get growth.
Facts.
So,
dude, there's layers to masculinity.
100%.
You got the tough guy. I don't need to prove I'm a tough guy. I know what I'm capable of. But you don't want to be an overly emotional. You don't want to be a crybaby either.
Right.
But you want to be strong in all the ways that you think traditional masculinity should be, but like also have those other parts, and you bring it all together, and then you become like this superhuman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many layers to it. You just don't got to be one or the other, or this thing or that thing. And because you're willing to come on here and share these things and where you're at, that takes a huge level of vulnerability, because people will be like, well, why are you in that mindset? Why are you in that? Because you're going to get people that think those things,
100%.
but like their experience isn't yours. They haven't walked in your shoes.
No.
You were at the place you were. And because you're able to come share it and share your experience and the growth that's happened, especially over the past, this year, someone's going to be able to take from that and reflect on themselves and hopefully heal wherever they're at.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And that's why, like, that's honestly why, not the only reason why I came on here to do this, but because I feel like that's part of God's calling to me to do. Like, he aligned us for you to reach out and want me to come on the podcast. What we were going to talk about, we didn't know yet.
Yeah.
We literally just decided that at the end of last week.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, what are we going to talk about? And I was like, well, I need to talk about the last 6 months, basically, is what I need to talk about. Because in the first time I come on the podcast, like, everybody knew everything about me after that, right? I shared it.
It's out there, so keep doing it.
There's a lot that's happened since then, so I need to share that part too, and just let everybody know, like, it's not a pretty picture, just like social media, right? Like, yeah, we post the highlight stuff and make the looks like the life's all gravy and whatnot, but it's not.
So there's a pattern of surrendering through struggle, and have you been able to maybe connect the dots? Fatherhood, your injury, plant medicine, all those stuff. What's the connector there?
So, yeah, and I'm actually still connecting it, but it's really all came down to, like, me just letting go. And, the things that I want in life for myself and for my family, and, like, the big vision is, like, I have to let go and surrender in order for me to be able to see and hear God lead me down that path to where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And when I say that, to, teach his own, believe, or whatever you are, but, like, that's the Holy Spirit for me. That's my connection. That's where I hear God telling me what to do, right? And so now it's all coming together, and I'm like, this all makes sense. Well, RJ, you said you wanted to surrender. You don't get to choose how that looks.
Yeah.
Right. And why it had to happen, the way it did, I don't know. Yeah. I don't question it. I just accepted it and then tried to find the good from there. And so what I've seen now is, like, cause it's still, I'm still fighting every day, man. Like, because this has still been a very slow process of healing my knee, and, I don't work out like I used to. I haven't even trained legs in 6 months, right? Like, that would be another thing I used to spiral about, like, right, as men, like, little legs, you know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. Like,
so I struggle with that. I'm like,
right? And I never had big
might have
legs
been broken,
anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
so, all that. But yeah, no, yes, man, it's all connected, and that's, it feels good to really just see it working.
Yeah, for sure.
See, like, I'm doing all this, and it's for a reason, and it's like next month, man, I'm going on, it's a Christian men's retreat next month. I'm going on, and I'm going to get rebaptized, as a 40-year-old man. I was baptized when I was 10, but to me, I'm like, I've done a lot since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I need a cleansing.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm super pumped for that. And I really feel that, you know, how I pictured all this is, including this podcast, was like, I'm going to get on this podcast and I'm going to be raw and I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to, share it. And the next month I'm going to go and I'm going to get rebaptized, and that's going to be my fresh start. That's going to be me on the path going the direction that God's sending me to do. And that's
Cool.
to continue to share my story and give a place for men to be able to heal and grow as well.
Hell yeah. I love that, man.
Yeah.
It's this whole journey that you've kind of had, man. And it's, like I said, it's very relevant to my life too. And you're going all out, and you asked to be the most authentic person you could. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what I've realized too is like, that's the same thing. I was like, I put it out there. Like, I want my brand to embody authenticity. Like,
Yeah.
In the world of all of it, like, people would be like, dude, that's the most authentic brand. But I have to be the most authentic version of myself in order for that to be true.
Exactly.
And the thing is, authenticity is like one of the highest levels you can operate at, right? Well, it's hard to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not hard to get there, but what I'm getting at is to operate it as purely authentic, you're going to have to face everything.
Yep.
You're going to be looking in the mirror every day.
How you handle it.
Ripping a mask off every day. Because I think you're never going to be all the way there. It's like it's a relentless pursuit, man. It's till the day you die, man. You're going to be
every day
seeing things. So it's constant growth. But yeah, wanting that to achieve that, right? Like you're having to face all the things, and some things are forced in your face, and that's okay. You just got to embrace it. Like, hey, there's a reason I'm seeing this.
Right.
And that's a mindset shift too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a reason I tore my knee. That was a good thing. It sucks, but when you can see it as like a positive, because it's what in here that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's powerful, because that's exactly it, man. It's, I always like to say, we grow through what we go through, man. Like, I've been through so much, and everybody has their own story, and everybody's, been through a lot or a little or whatever. But like, the more I go through, the more I grow.
Yeah.
As a man.
Facts.
Like, and that's more wisdom for me to be able to share.
Yep, exactly, man. You get to pass that down.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another question too. Well, that would be perfect. I'm going to wait. What I do want to ask though is like, what do you think this surrender has given you in return?
Just peace.
Yeah. Peace.
Yeah, peace.
Exactly what you wanted.
Yep.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So now back to fatherhood and this peace and this surrender and this wisdom through adversity and all these different layers of things you're experiencing, right? And you're seeing in a whole new light. How does that define legacy for you as a father and your daughter now?
Oh, well, man, like that, it goes, so being the best father that I can be, to me, looks like I just want, and both of my daughters, because I still want to be the best dad that I can be to my oldest daughter, right?
Yeah.
And even though she's in Knoxville, like, I still want to be that. And
you're still a dad.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I just want, my kids to feel love and to feel safe and to know that they can always come to me for anything.
I love it.
No matter what. Like, to know that my dad was a loving and caring, gentle, peaceful man, right? But he's a savage if he needs to be.
Like, I mean, it's in the name.
I'll go down. So, I just like right now, like, there's so much going on in my head about how to answer that, and I got to just trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying?
Of course,
I could.
Has it changed your purpose any? Maybe, like this, along with like being a dad and just the family man you are now, right? Because you are at a different stage in your life.
No, it definitely has, because I want to be that leader. Like God calls, us men to do that. I want to be that at the house, for my wife and for my daughter and for everybody that's in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a control way, just I want to lead by example. I want to be that man, that, my wife can talk about and say the type of father and type of husband I am. I want to be that man that my daughters can talk about, saying, and this is how my daddy was. This is,
yeah.
Like,
yeah, dude, you would,
yeah.
You
With all the stuff I went through, like, they can, like, I the very first time I was going to share my story, I thought about my firstborn, because my little one wasn't here yet. And I was like, I don't know that, I'm not going to send it to her, but like, I don't know that I want her to hear that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, everything that I've done and went through.
Yeah.
But I know she has, and I've also, you know, has had some talks with my oldest because of the bitterness that I've felt and you know, the shame I felt of not being the dad that I should have been and could have been for her.
Yeah.
Right. So it just always, you know, like you always have a second chance, man.
Well, dude, and she's going to experience life. She's already experienced 20 years. She's going to experience more things. So the more you share with her, the more y'all will have the opportunity to connect. And the more she'll be able to trust you with whatever she's facing.
Yeah.
All the ups, all the downs. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know, especially as they get older, like you want to keep that close.
For sure.
You don't want them to be ready to get out of your house, you know, essentially,
yeah.
right?
No,
you want them to be
I
like,
was.
yeah, exactly. So what part of you had to die this year to grow?
Controlling everything, man.
Control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just the constant of like wanting something to change and not being able to control that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a control freak, so don't get me wrong when I say that. But just as a man, like we like to be in control.
Yeah.
And of our decisions, of the things that we do, of, you know, whatever, how our spouse is, how our child is, right? Like all those things. And I will say the boy inside of me had to die for the man to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
40 years old, man. Like they say, you know, we don't mature, you know,
yeah.
and I believe it, you know, because even though like I thought I was carrying myself as a man, and I say as a man, just, you know, as a grown man, right, who's 40 years old now, like I was so still just immature in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And, you know, the control part, you know, of it was like, I didn't realize it, but like it really was like controlling everything.
It's that inner child stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I talked about the situation I went through, right? I had to realize that, man, that little boy that was broken has still had control of so many aspects of who I am today, right?
Yep.
And have an opportunity to go back to him, take him by the hand, and being like, dude, you're good.
Yeah.
Walk with me.
Yeah.
Walking him back through life in a way, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's just that's how I visualize it, right? And then he's protected and he's good. Like, you know, he's got all this stuff to look forward to, and I got him now.
Yeah, I can see that for sure with you know, yeah.
That's powerful though, man. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. I'm so freaking proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Because these are some very deep concepts, and it's a lot for just a lot of people to grasp, because they won't even recognize that depression or anxiety are a thing. There's people that don't believe it. And I'm like, what the hell? And I say that because I was one of those people like, oh, that's weak.
No.
You know, that was me at one point.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking because, most of the times people that aren't willing to see it are the ones facing some of the darkest shit.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So, and I think me and you have been in a similar boat.
For sure.
Dude, okay, we only got a few minutes left. Damn it, RJ. I got like so many more things I want to talk about.
I'll just have to come back.
All right, but you got to answer the final question.
All right, what is it?
And I was trying to see how you answered it last time. I couldn't find it in time. And it's probably changed, so that's okay. But what is your relentless pursuit?
My relentless pursuit is to continue to follow God's lead and just continue to impact as many men, boys as I can possible.
Oh yeah.
That's just it. That's the thing now that I got from all this is really what is my calling here, and it's everything that I've went through.
Yeah.
In order to be able to share it and help, if it's just one boy, not go that path.
RJ.
Right? But if I can impact millions, and I want to impact millions.
Hell yeah, man.
And I want everybody to know that, like, I knew that dude. And he's been through some stuff, but he never gave up. He never quit, and he leaned in. And that is the most authentic, unapologetic, godly man that I know.
Hell yeah. RJ, I'm proud of you. I'm so freaking proud of you, man. And I freaking love you. And I can't help but realize that there's a reason we're circling it back around right now at this time in our lives, given all the changes since we last sat down with each other for this long.
Yeah.
There's been some significant changes, and the stages have been so similar in the past several months. It's kind of mind blowing. And I'm just blessed to know you, man. And I'm blessed to have us reconnect right now. And I look forward to seeing what you do.
Hey, Joe, it's, we've always said this, man, like every time we talk, it's always something big.
Yeah.
It's never just small talk. And while we may not talk all the time, weekly, monthly, like we said, but like we've always had a connection.
Hell yeah.
Since day one. Like I knew it. And I've always thought the same of you, dude. Like you're a solid dude, man. I respect you, and I'm thankful for you to be in my life, and I'm thankful that you brought me on here twice now.
RJ, I freaking love you, dude. Hey, thanks, brother.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Peace.